Population distribution. There are two terms you need to pay especially close attention to: population distribution and population density. A country's population is the total number of people living within its borders. That number can be large or small. Geographers study a country's population to learn more about life in that country. Population distribution is the spreading of people over an area of land. The world's population is distributed unevenly. That's an important part to know. Distributed unevenly on Earth's surface. Some places have many people, other places are almost empty. What factors lead people to live where they do? Look at the map. You need to be able to read a population density map. So the colors show how many people, and they give both per mile and per square kilometer. So when you see the really dark pink or purple, that's where you've got big cities like London. You've got big cities in Germany or in Italy. When you see the lighter color, you have less population. So up north near the Arctic, countries like Norway, Finland, and Sweden, you don't see as many people. In the south near the Mediterranean, where they have a warmer climate, you're going to see more of those purple or pink areas where you have more people. So practice reading those population density maps. And in the document, you can zoom up to make that bigger and easier to see than on the video. People try to live in places that meet their basic needs. Natural obstacles such as in oceans, mountains, and extremely cold or hot weather limit the areas where people can live easily. Throughout human history, most people have wanted to live in areas with fertile soil, which means good for farming. Fertile is that good, rich soil with lots of nutrients to farm. Plants grow well. Fresh water. So they need freshwater sources. Even if they're by the ocean where they can fish for food, you've got to have fresh water to drink. And mild climates. Regions with good soil and plenty of water become crowded. Places that were too cold or dry for farming never developed large populations. They'll have small populations, small towns, but not big cities. After about 1800, improved transportation and new ways of making a living changed things. As factories and industries grew, the ability to farm became less important. Industrial centers in large cities could develop in regions that were less suited for farming. Also, farming became more commercialized. So with machinery, there became kind of corporate business farms instead of family farms. Today, population tends to be highest in areas that were centers of early farming, industry, or trade. So that's how population is spread out. That's population distribution, where they choose to live and the factors that affect where people live. Population density is a number, a calculated number. Population density is the number of people per unit of land area. So either a square mile or a square kilometer, depending on where you're at in the world. It is expressed as the number of people per square mile or square kilometer. Population density gives us a way to describe how thickly settled an area is. It also lets us compare places of different sizes and populations. The density figure for any country is an average. That doesn't mean that every square mile has exactly 500 people, because people move, people are always moving. It's an average, so they take the whole population and divide it by the number of square miles that that country has. Population density can vary greatly from one part of a country to another. Population density has some important effects on a region. The more people there are per square mile, the more crowded a place is. Cities with high population densities tend to have crowded roads and living conditions. They might need public transportation like buses and trains. These places require many resources to meet people's needs. They might have skyscrapers. They're going to need more water in one area. Places with low population densities tend to have more undeveloped land. So it might have more forests, more green spaces, might be healthier. So people have preferences. Some people love living in New York City where it's super crowded, or Tokyo, Japan. Some people just live in those crowded places because that's where their jobs, whatever field that they work in, that's the best place to live and to work. Some people really like small town areas like Whitehall, Montague. They want to live in smaller communities where they get to know people and you can have a big yard or you can have some property. Because in some places, in lots of countries in Europe, you can't own more than 4 or 5 acres unless you inherited it from a family, and it's rare to inherit more land like that. So we're lucky to have those choices in our area. You can live in town, You could, or you can move to bigger cities, or you can choose to live in an area where you can have some property, some land around, have trees, which is nice.